have a go at the technique. So get a pen and paper. If you haven't already done so, go get a pen and paper now, please. It's important you get a pen and paper to do this technique. Learning takes place when you participate in activity. This is a proven fact that if you just listen to what I'm saying, you might think, well, some of the stuff I'm saying is interesting, but you'll take on board so much. If you go away and you participate, then you'll learn a lot more. So you probably retain 10% next week if you just listen to what I'm saying. If you actually participate, you'll probably learn 80%, if not more. If you do it with somebody else, then if they're suitable to do it with, then no doubt you'll retain even more information. So step one, the technique. I want to go through it yourself. Now, if you don't have anxiety or any significant stress in your life, then you can still play ball and use whatever works for you, okay? It's always useful to work on yourself. And certainly as a coach, a therapist, a lot of the techniques I use for myself, and for using them for myself and using them regularly, like going to the gym mentally every day, every week, you become better at doing it and it becomes easier to do the technique and help other people do it as well. So first step for the technique, I want to identify some stressful thoughts you might have, whatever it might be. So let's monitor what's causing any stress or anxiety. So I want to write down certain thoughts that cause you mild stress or mild anxiety. Write them down. Write down a list of things that cause mild anxiety. So it might be going to a new environment, it might be starting a job in a new company, it might be going for a meeting, it might be going to a party, it might be all of the above. But write down a few different thoughts. It might be driving, it might be shopping. Write down a number of thoughts that you can think about that cause you some stress, mild stress, or mild anxiety. We're going to focus on one. We're going to focus on one shortly, but if you can write a few down. Now, having written a few down, what I want you to do is choose one thought that contributes towards the anxiety. So of all the things that you wrote down that cause you mild stress and mild anxiety, just choose one. So you might decide I'm going to choose delivering presentations, or going to a party, or going out socially and meeting new people, or meeting someone new. Okay, so just choose one. And after you've chosen one, write it down, please. Okay, what I want you to do now is to think about the process. Think about your thoughts for a moment, okay? Think about the anxiety or the mild anxiety and mild stress you've got for that thought you chose. So for example, you might think, well, you might be saying to yourself, self-talk, you might be saying to yourself in relation to doing your presentation, I feel so anxious, I'll probably start to panic and embarrass myself as I do the presentation. So that's what might be going through your mind. So whatever you've chosen, just think about your thoughts, your self-talk related to that. So you might be nervous about or anxious about going to a party, and you might be saying in your own mind, I don't really want to go, because the last time I went to a party I made a fool of myself, or the last time I went to a party I didn't really socialise, the last time I went to a party this was, whatever happened really. So monitor your thoughts. Okay, the example I'm using here is presenting. So you might, this is a real example, I was working with someone not long ago, and she said to me that the thought that was going through her mind was, I'm so anxious, I'll probably start to panic and embarrass myself if I deliver the presentation. And I asked her to replace that, and to replace that with something different. And what I said to her to say is, I've been in anxious situations before and succeeded. Because it's quite ironic really, the woman I was working with, okay, was in a situation where she said that presentations was the one thing that was causing her anxiety, that's what we were working with. But the irony was that she proceeded to say she was so anxious, afraid of, making a fool of herself and all that sort of stuff really, but she'd been through situations before which were far more challenging, one would think. And one of the most amazing things really, to back up the statement she said, I've been in anxious situations before and it succeeded, she was a mother, she had 2 children. I've not given child birth before, but I can imagine, it can be, the pain, and she'd been through that, she'd been through an operation, she'd been through health challenges. She'd been through so many things through her life. She was focusing on this presentation, making it bigger than what it was. She was a great speaker, very knowledgeable. So when she sort of thought of that, she thought, actually, you know what, I've had anxiety before. I've had it before, succeeded. So sometimes we're our own worst enemy. You can be your own worst enemy. Your clients can be the worst enemy. There are certain situations you've been through in your life that you've got through. So the first thing she said to replace the negative with a positive is, or a neutral thought, well, I've been anxious before and I've succeeded. And that gives you a reference to think about. The second part of the process was to get her to realise she could be confident. And she went on to say, well, I'm confident I control my anxiety and panic by using relaxation techniques I have learned. So we'd spent the best part of 2 or 3 sessions doing all these various strategies as well as thought stopping, and she knew she was confident that she could use these processes to go forward. And the final part of the jigsaw in her self-talk was, I'm going to do this presentation and enjoy it. She was very knowledgeable, she loved what she did, fantastic at what she did. So the final part of the jigsaw was to say, you know what, I'm going to go out and enjoy it. I love what I do, you've got one life, you know, go out there, I'm blessed to be doing the job I really love doing. I'll go out there and do the very best I can and actually enjoy it. And then you've got to reverse it in the mind. But with that, we've got to do a physiological gesture as well too, to build it up, which we're going to talk through shortly. Because I believe we work on things physically as well as mentally, self-talk, it's much more powerful. I'm going to talk more about that as we go along. So just to recap, step 1, identify the thought that you have that's linked to anxiety. In the case of this woman I mentioned, it was presenting, it can be anything, it could be driving test, whatever you think is right for you. We identified her self-talk, what her thoughts are. She said she has anxiety, she was afraid that she's going to panic and embarrass herself. And then we've got to start replacing that negative statement with more positive statements. First we start with a neutral statement. I've been anxious before and I've succeeded, I've done it before, I can do it again. And then we've got to start to say that she's confident in the techniques she's done and learn till finally she was saying that I'm going to do this presentation and go out there and enjoy it. Okay, so you can think of a few statements you can use. Now I want you to do that with your process as well. So remember we said earlier before, okay, the thought that caused you anxiety. Now go through this process now and write down something that neutralises it and write down something that's positive if you can, and just build it up if you can. If you can't think about it at the moment, then write what you can and do what you can. It's a short space of time, a lot to take on board. You might want to practice watching DVD a couple of times, go through it a few times and go from there. But I will go through it a few times tonight anyway. Step 3, what I want you to do now is close your eyes and think about the stressful thought. So if you don't mind, just close your eyes, think about the stressful thought. If you don't mind, just think about the thought that's causing you stress. This is the best way to actually use the process is to make it as real as possible. The mind can't deliver reality, non-reality. Think of a scary film, your heart rate goes up. So if you close your eyes, think about your stressful thought. In the case of that woman was presenting, and I got to imagine herself in that situation where she started to feel anxious presenting, visualizing a scenario, and having visualized a scenario for a few minutes, I got to shout the word stop. And with the word stop, we would then do these incantations we're going to cover shortly and go through shortly. So just close your eyes, really relax, let yourself go, think about that thought that's causing you stress, anxiety, and just let yourself wander for a while. Just go through this process for the next minute or so. Just know what you see, what you hear, what you feel when you feel anxious. Go back to that time you felt that anxiety. And when you experience that situation, scenario again, just experience it like it's in the here and now. Shout the word stop! Okay? And just gradually come back to the here and now in your own time, in your own pace. We're going to go through that again. Breaking your state, breaking that thought process. So once again, just close your eyes, really relax, and think about that stressful thought, whatever it might be, or the thought that's causing anxiety. Close your eyes and imagine that situation again where that thought would occur. Just close your eyes, give it a go. And for the next minute or so, just really relax what you see, what you hear, what you feel. Really the experience like it's happening in the here and now. Visualize the scenario. And just shout the word, stop! Okay? And interrupt your thought process. Now I want you to just let your mind go blank for a minute, okay? Just let your mind go blank. The key is really, if the thought comes back again, is to just shout the stop command again, which is really important. So if you find the thought coming back in your mind again, shout the word stop, and you can punch, yeah, you can do whatever. It's entirely up to you what you choose to do. Entirely up to you. We're going to go through the process shortly again. With that I mentioned before, you can use affirmations. Some people who do CBT like to use affirmations. I believe that affirmations are only good if they're true. There's no point telling yourself you're happy, you're happy, you're happy, I feel calm, I feel calm, I feel calm, if your mind unconsciously is not processing that. So one of the things I do is I use incantations, use the mind-body link, and I'm going to guide you through this process shortly. So with the word stop, in the case of me working with that woman who was anxiety for presenting, we'd actually use the word enough. And what she would do this gesture here, enough! So actually before she went out to present, when she felt a bit anxious, she just went to the bathroom and just went, enough! Everybody ran out of the bathroom when she did that, but what's really important is she took control of her mind again. Okay, and then if she felt anxious going up to present, she could use the word enough. So what I want you to do before we move on and move forward, I want you to give this incantation a go. Then we'll go through this process again step by step so we can learn it. At this moment, there's a lot to take on board, short space of time, but what I would say, take it step by step and we'll go from there. So what I want you to do again, first of all, let's practice using incantation if we can. Okay, let's practice using this incantation, please, because I believe incantations are far more powerful than affirmations. So let's practice an exercise, if you don't mind. Let's just put this process to one side for now. What I want you to do is to practice the power of incantation. Stand up if you don't mind. If you're not standing up, you're sitting down. I want you to stand up and just really relax, okay? And what I want you to do is, I want you to make a fist if you don't mind. You can do this process, you can punch the air, whatever. What I want you to do is, whenever you feel any negative thoughts coming into your mind, what I want you to do is shout the word enough or stop and do your action. And I want you to then go into the emotion of feeling confident, calm and powerful. Okay? And what I want you to do is to repeat these words. I'm in control of my life, I'm confident and focused, and put emotion into it. So let's have a go. Let's have a go. The best way to learn is to have a go. To give you an idea what I did with this woman, so what she would do after she neutralised the thought is what she would do is go into the emotion. It would be, enough! I am going to deliver the presentation and enjoy it. Okay, to take control back of that and experience the emotion of delivering the presentation really, really well. So let's have a practice, let's have a go. If you're out there, let's play ball. So first of all, just stand up. You can make a fist, you can do the action, punch down, whatever works for you. Okay, and just think about any negative thoughts that come into your mind, whatever they might be. And it doesn't have to be anxiety, it can be any negative thoughts. And when they come into your mind, I want to shout, enough! I am in control of my life, I'm calm, confident, focused, and put some emotion into it. Okay, and just shake. We're going to repeat that 3 times. So let's repeat the exercise 3 times, if you don't mind. So once again, think of an emotion, think of a negative thought process, whatever it might be. It could be around confidence, it could be a distraction, it could be anxiety, it could be anything really. But think about it for one moment. As you think about it and you experience it, just shout the word, stop! I'm in control, I'm calm, confident and focused, and put emotion into it. And notice when you get the feel. Okay, we're going to do it 2 more times. If you don't mind, 2 more times, okay? Can you get the drift now? So let's put emotion to it. Let's do a physiological gesture. And notice how you begin to feel and how your energy is. Can you see the power of an incantation rather than an affirmation? Because if you're doing exercise and you have a negative thought and you say stop, or you just say the word stop, I'm feeling better, and every day I'm getting better in every way, I feel calm. It can be effective, but probably not as half or percentage effective as incantation power. Put emotion into it. You've got to want it. Some of the sports people I work with, what we would do when they felt nervous going out to play sport is bring it on, come on, and think about the goal of winning and all the work that they put into becoming as good as they were, the effort they put into it. So let's do this process 2 more times. Okay, so first of all, think of a negative experience in your mind. Think of a negative experience. Okay, think of that negative experience. You can relive the experience if you want to. If you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. It's entirely up to you. But relive that negative experience. What I want you to do now is shout the word, stop! And make a fist and punch and say to yourself, I'm in control of my life, I'm calm, confident, focused, and put emotion into it. Okay, let's put emotion to it. Okay, and let's do it one more time. Okay, you shake yourself again. Okay, shake yourself again. And you're training your brain, you're building neural pathways in the mind, you're retraining your mind. So the next time you think about doing presenting, whatever you're anxious about, you start asserting control. And the more you do it, the more stronger you become. Okay, it's like going to the gym. You don't go once and you become in great shape. You've got to go regularly. The more you do it, the more you rewire your brain, the more powerful it is. So once again, the exercise, think of a negative thought. It could be an interview you've got, it could be a presentation, it could be a driving test, it could be meeting someone, it could be anything you want it to be, but think of the thought that's contributing towards you feeling anxious or stressed or whatever, and just associate to it. You might want to close your eyes if you want to. Okay, and what I want you to do shortly is again, make that fist again and put some emotion into it. Okay, shout the word stop and tell yourself you're in control of your life, confident and focused. We ready? So closing your eyes, really relax. Okay, let those thoughts go into your mind that are negative. Make your fist. Say, stop! I am in control. I'm calm, confident and focused. Okay? And just shake again. I'm going to do it one more time. One more time, okay? One more time to embed it into our unconscious mind. So once again, I want you to think of that negative thought. Let it come into your mind, whatever it might be. That negative thought, whatever it is, it could be anxious about presenting, meeting someone, anything for that matter. Okay, just shake yourself loose. Let that thought go into your mind. Just relive the experience. Okay. Now I want to make that fist again. Okay, and I want to shout the word stop. I'm in control of my life. I'm confident and focused, and put emotion into it. Okay, and now just relax and let yourself go. And you can use this process as often as you feel necessary. It's a very powerful process, and if you've got a client that you're working with, it might be an idea to go take them through this process. Okay, it's a very powerful process. It might not be a process that you use when you're walking down the shop aisle, but then again you might internalise it. If you feel nervous or anxious, you're going shopping or you're driving, you might just use a thought stopping process, like a wristband. Okay, I work with self-harmers, substance misusers, people who've got severe anxiety, emotional eaters, people in sport, and we've used the wristband technique or go into the word stop or whatever discreetly or walk away, take a time out. So there's ways and means to fit that in, okay? And what's important to note as well, important considerations, practice. The more you put in, the more you get out. Thought stopping might not work for everybody. It's worth a goal. It's certainly worked for a lot of people I've worked with across a broad range of areas. Don't substitute the process for medical care or attention. If the person got medical care and need medical attention, then that's the way they got to go. And certainly don't recommend anyone not take their medication. That's really important. Sometimes I work with people, they tell me they've got better, they're not taking their medicine no more. Not on my watch, that's your call, your choice. What you do is entirely up to you. I'm not suggesting anyone do whatever. And also, if it's not working for somebody, then it might be an idea to do go see someone to help them clinically. It's important to take that into consideration as well. So just to reaffirm the process before we move forward is, once again, identify the stressful thought that you have in your clients. You can write it down. I use the example here. The woman I was working with was anxiety doing presentations. Okay, she wrote it down. The second step was to get her thoughts on the presentation. She said, I was so anxious, I'll probably start to panic and embarrass myself if I deliver the presentation. Then we'll change that into, I've been in anxious situations before and succeeded. I'm confident that I control my anxiety and panic by using techniques I've been learned or taught, and I'm going to deliver the presentation, have it, and enjoy it. And we'd use those statements, and the final one would really focus on the stop command. And what she would do in that situation is to close her eyes. Imagine going to the presentation, and as soon as she felt anxious, she would, as I mentioned, shut the word stop, and with that incantation, tell herself that she was in complete control, that she was going to go out there and enjoy the presentation. So, really powerful stuff. Okay, so once again, you work with a client, with yourself, identify the thought that's contributing towards the anxiety or the stress, whatever it might be. Okay, write down your thoughts, monitor them, have a look at them, change them, reframe them. Okay, then what you can do, having done all that, you visualize the situation, relive it like the here and now, and experience it. And as you relive the situation and you start feeling the anxiety or the stress, then you shout the word stop. You can make a fist if you want, it's entirely up to you. Or do an action, a wristband, stomp your foot, punch the air, whatever works for you. Or you might not want to do any physical actions, entirely up to you. You shout the word stop, and after you've shouted the word stop, then you can proceed to say the statements thereafter. Okay, so one more time, one final time, write the thought down that's contributing towards the anxiety. You can write down your thoughts on the anxiety of the process. Having done that, you can reframe, neutral, okay, move it forward into more confident space. Then having done that, you can close your eyes, experience the actual event or situation where the thoughts have occurred or might occur, and while you're doing that, at the point of you start to feel the anxiety, probably 3 minutes into the experience, you can shout